What's good, YouTube? Sensational Sincere is here, and I'm back with another Tom Clancy's The Division Vendor Reset video. We're here for October 25th, 2019's reset. So let's get right into this to see what we got good for this week. Okay, so for our first gear item, we're going to head over to Camp Hudson. And here the gear vendor has a Spec Ops mask with the talent refreshed on there. It has a gear score of 269. The armor is 926. Its roll for stamina 1171. And the attributes it has is skill power and burn resistance. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the base of operations. And here the advanced weaponry vendor has a military G36 with a gear score of 260. It has 18% enemy armor damage, and the talents it has is deadly, fierce, and focused. Also here we have a military RP K74M with a gear score of 263. It has 18% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents it has is swift, deadly, and fierce. For our next gear items, we're still at the base operations. Head over to the special equipment vendor, and here they have a historian with a gear score of 263. It has 161% headshot damage, and the talents it has is toxic, unforgiving, and you already know the last talent. And then also here I mentioned we have a liberator here with a gear score of 275. It has 22% enemy armor damage, and the talents it has is determined, adept, and fierce. Also here we have a SOCOM Scar L if you're still doing PvE missions on here. This particular one has a gear score 278. It has 19% enemy armor damage, and the talents it has is destructive, ferocious, and capable. Also here we got a tactical mask with the talent enduring on there with a gear score of 280. It has 956 armor. Its roll for electronics 1268, and the attributes it has is exotic damage, resilience, and disoriented resistance. Also here we have a Spec Ops pack with the talent specialized on there with a gear score of 271. Its armor is 1219. Its roll for electronics 1258, and attributes it has is stability and burn resistance. Also here we have a prototype electronics mod with 264 electronics and 2,937 skill power. Also here we have a large suppressor FDE with 18% crit hit damage, 2.50% stability, and 2% accuracy. For our next gear item, we're going to head over to the cavern. And here the gear vendor has a prototype stamina mod with 262 stamina and 2.50% exotic damage resilience. For our next gear item, we're going to head over to Camp Clinton. And here the special equipment vendor has a historian with a gear score of 273. It has 149% headshot damage, and the talents it has is brutal, prepared, and you already know the third talent. Also here we got a liberator with a gear score of 281. It has 24% enemy armor damage, and the talents it has is competent, unforgiving, and adept. Also here we got a military M60E4 with a gear score of 270. It has 21% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents it has is adept, competent, and brutal. Also here we got an operator mask with the talent enduring on there with a gear score of 272. It has 900 armor. Its roll for firearms 1219, and the attributes it has is crit hit chance and damage to elites. Also here we have an operator vest with the talent vigorous on there with a gear score of 270. It has 1862 armor. Its roll for electronics 1160, and the attributes it has is all resistance, health on kill, and increased kill XP. Also here we got a tactical pack with the talent inventive on there with a gear score 274. The armor is 1313. Its roll for stamina 1149, and the attributes it has is crit hit damage and ammo capacity. Also here we have a prototype performance mod with 4.50% ballistic shield damage resilience. Also here we got an Omega rifle suppressor tan with 18% headshot damage, 2.50% stability, and 4% crit hit damage. Also here we got a pro red dot sight with 18% crit hit damage, 6% headshot damage, and 3% crit hit chance. For our next gear item, is going to head over to Dante's Run. And here the gear vendor has a tactical pack with the talent inventive on there with a gear score of 265. It has 1230 armor. Its roll for stamina 1119, and the attributes it has is stability and disrupt resistance. For our next gear item, is going to head over to the ward. And here the gear vendor has a prototype stamina mod with 264 stamina and 1% crit hit chance. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the South Paw. In here, the gear vendor has a tactical pack with the talent inventive on there with a gear score of 267. It has 1191 armor. Its roll for stamina 1198, and the attributes it has is health and bleed resistance. For our next gear item, we're going to head over to the Grindhouse. In here, the weapons vendor has a M700 tactical with a gear score of 273. It has 166% headshot damage, and the talents it has is ferocious, toxic, and elevated. And then also here we got an SR7 suppressor with 18% crit hit damage, 5% optimal range, and 2.50% stability. For our next gear item, we're going to head over to the Firewall. And here the gear vendor has a prototype firearms mod with 197 firearms and 3% damage to elites. I ain't forget about y'all that let her run these. And then also here we have a prototype performance mod with 3.50% sticky bomb damage. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the Crypt. And here the weapons vendor has an infantry MG5 with a gear score of 279. It has 21% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents it has is competent, fierce, and sustain. And then also here we got a small red grip with 18% crit hit damage, 2.50% stability, and 2% accuracy. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to West 31st Street Checkpoint. And here the Dark Zone vendor has a prototype electronics mod with 257 electronics and 3% skill haste. And then also here we got an extended magazine with 114.50% magazine size, 4% crit hit damage, and 4.50% reload speed. For our next gear item, we're going to head over to West 39th Street Checkpoint. And here the Dark Zone vendor has an operator pack with the talent inventive on there with a gear score of 271. It has 1149 armor, and its roll for electronics 1260. And the attributes we have here is stability and disrupt resistance. For our next gear item, we're going to head over to West 42nd Street Checkpoint. And here the Dark Zone vendor has an M8070 Express with a gear score of 282. It has 328.50% stagger, and the talents it has is responsive, adept, and brutal. Also here we have a prototype performance mod with 5.50% first aid self-heal. For our next gear item, we're going to head over to West 46th Street Checkpoint. And here the Dark Zone vendor has a tactical mask with the talent Tenacious on there with a gear score of 267. It has 858 armor. Its roll for electronics 1173. And the attributes we have here is all resistance and blind depth resistance. And then also here we have a heavy magazine spring with 5% reload speed, 3% crit hit chance, and 9.30% rate of fire. For our next gear item, we're going to head over to West 53rd Street Checkpoint. In here, the Dark Zone vendor has a Black Market AK-74 with a gear score of 270. It has 22% enemy armor damage, and the talents it has is adept, vicious, and talented. For our next gear item, we're going to head over to East 64th Street Checkpoint. In here, the Dark Zone gear mod vendor has a prototype stamina mod with 260 stamina and 3,240 skill power. For our next gear item, we're going to head over to East 61st Street Checkpoint. In here, the Dark Zone weapon mod vendor has a C79 scope with 18% crit hit damage, 2.50% stability, and 4.50% optimal range. For our next gear item, we're going to head over to East 58th Street Checkpoint. In here, the Dark Zone gear vendor has an operator mask with the talent Tenacious on there. It has a gear score of 279. It has 992 armor. Its roll for electronics 1222. And the attributes it has is all resistance and burn resistance. And then also here we have a Spec Ops pack with the talent inventive on there with a gear score 273. It has 1180 armor. Its roll for stamina 1253. And the attributes this has is crit damage and disrupt resistance. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the Park Ave checkpoint. In here, the Dark Zone weapons vendor has a military M870 with a gear score 262. It has 330% stagger, and the talents it has is competent, unforgiving, and accurate. And then also here we got a police MK17 with a gear score 279. It has 147% headshot damage, and the talents it has is dominant, prepared, and ferocious. For our next gear item, we're going to head over to East 53rd Street Checkpoint. And here the Dark Zone vendor has an operator pack with the talent specialized on there. It has a gear score of 275. The armor is 1278. Its roll for firearms 1225. And the attributes it has is stability and ammo capacity. And then also here we got a prototype firearms mod with 258 firearms and 2.50% exotic damage resilience. For our next gear item, is going to head over to East 40th Street checkpoint. And here the Dark Zone Bender has a prototype performance mod with 2% post crit hit chance. And then also here we got a Tyrant suppressor with 7% crit hit chance, 2% accuracy, and 4% crit hit damage. For our next gear item, is going to head over to East 34th Street checkpoint. And here the Dark Zone Bender has an extended magazine with 120% magazine size, 4% crit hit damage, and 5.60% rate of fire. I'm going to grab me a couple of these. This has a little bit more rate of fire than mine. For our next gear item, is going to head over to DZ2 Safe Room. And here the Dark Zone Gear Vendor has a Spec Ops armor with the Talent Rapid on there. It has a gear score of 273. It has 1939 armor. Its roll for electronics 1137. And the attributes it has is skill haste, exotic damage resilience, and ammo capacity. And then also here we got a Spec Ops pack with the talent specialized on there. This one has a gear score of 274. The armor is 1212. Its roll for stamina 1207. And the attributes it has is stability and burn resistance. For our next gear item, is going to head over to DZ3 Safe Room. And here the Dark Zone Vendor has a classic M1A with a gear score of 272. It has 164% headshot damage, and the talents it has is fierce, deadly, and unforgiving. And then also here we got a black market RPK 74E with a gear score of 263. It has 21% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents it has is deadly, fierce, and sustain. For our next gear item, is going to head to DZ8 Safe Room. And here the Dark Zone Vendor has a operator vest with the talent Vigorous on there. It has a gear score of 282. It has 1979 armor. Its roll for stamina 1260. And the attributes it has is exotic damage resilience, health, and ammo capacity. Alright everybody, that's it for our Tom Clancy's The Division Vendor Reset video for October 25th, 2019's reset. I want to thank everybody who tuned into it. I hope you found something that you needed. Drop me a like if you hadn't. Smash that sub button if you hadn't. I appreciate that support. Check me out on Twitch. I stream on there, and I'm also streaming on Mixer too under the same name, Sensational Sincere. If y'all want, y'all can also follow me on Twitter. I'm Sensational Sin, SIN, and then the number 8. I appreciate all that, and I will holler at y'all with the next one. Everybody, take care. Peace.